How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Discovering Bigfoot podcast. Today for the show, we have Ryan. He is a paramedic out in Vancouver. He's got a bunch of cool pictures and stuff he's been sending me. I got a bunch of stuff posted up on the Instagram, the Discovering Bigfoot podcast Instagram page. If you want to go check it out, you're tagged in them, Ryan. Really cool footprints, and I think there's a couple of tree breaks you sent me also. So let's get into it. Tell me about your job. Tell me about kind of where you're from and all that kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I grew up in North Vancouver, British Columbia. I work here as a paramedic for British Columbia Ambulance Service. So basically,
Okay.
drive around, do ambulance calls, and yeah, that's what I do out here for work.
Awesome. So what kind of got you into the Bigfoot stuff? Did you have an encounter at first, or did you hear about it and just got
Here, I was
interested that way?
I fish. I do a lot of fishing, right? And in Vancouver, there's lots of places to fish, but I like to go remote. So I'll find spots where I'll take my boat in, across a waterway and then hike in another area. And I go to a spot called Indian River, and there's pink salmon run every 2 years there, right? It's an elite run. There's never anyone fishing it, right? It's you go in, say 30, 40 minutes in the ocean, and then you get to a river mouth, and then you park your boat and you got to hike in 2 or 3 kilometers, like in the bush, basically straight bush. And then you get this little sand beach area, and the salmon are coming by thousands, 60 or 70,000 pink salmon get in there.
Wow.
And you can't see the bottom. It's black. There's so many fish, and there's nobody fishing them because of how hard it is to get into it, right? You can take a logging road down. It's about 3 hour logging road down. And it's usually washed out, so it's hard to get into. So there's not a lot of people back there. You get the avid fisherman that's back there with his fly rod. So I've been going to this place since I was, I don't know, 16, 17 years old. And I think 2 years ago, I came up to this spot and I crossed over the river. Like I've walked in, 2 kilometers or whatever, get in the spot. I crossed over the riverbank and I noticed all these footprints are on the sand, like bare footprints. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Bunch of humans walking around here with bare feet. I'm like, what are they doing over here? There's no one even here. And these were fresh footprints. They were like, we came in there, I think first light in the morning, and these were probably, the night before. They looked very fresh because they had a rain in the day before, so they probably weren't going to be that looked that good. These were fresh, like it was done like in the middle of the night sort of thing. I'm like, well, where's all these people? There's nobody here. And what was interesting was there were little kids' footprints there, like lots of little kids. And then there was obviously a massive one that was like, it trumped. I got a size 14 wader boot, and this thing trumped my thing by 2 or 3 inches, right?
Wow.
But then it was just different footprints. They looked not like our footprint. It was thinner, and the way they walked. So then I looked at that. I was like, okay, that's interesting. I fished, and then I sort of took some pictures of the prints, and I started getting more interested in it. Okay, maybe there's some primate up there, or a tribe of humans maybe that lives up there. I did hear about. In Squamish, there was, some First Nations people disappear into the woods to do their man questhood, and they stay out in the woods sometimes and live out in the woods, right? So I thought maybe that was it, but this wasn't the case. This was very peculiar footprints. And then 2 years later, I went back to the spot for the salmon again, and the same footprints were there, different. The really large one, was not there, but looked like there was 2 other new small children's footprints there. So it was weird to see them in the exact same spot, same time of the year when the salmon were running at this spot. Like you had to cross over the river and you mean the sand and hike in 2 kilometers. It's like there was no people with their kids here. You're not taking your kids to walk around barefoot in this area. Like it's just not a thing.
Yeah. Typically, parents have a little bit better guidance for their kids,
Yeah,
especially
you
way
think.
back there.
Yeah. And what was interesting is that the footprints didn't go across the river. They went into the river and then they went up into the woods, like into just the brush. Like I followed them and they went into the bush, and then you can see them step to the moss, and it's like going up the side of the mountain. It's like, well, you're walking your kid, maybe he's 5, 6 years old with the size of the footprints if it was human, and then you're walking him barefoot into the woods. That's not a thing.
Right.
I don't know any parent in their right mind that would do that.
Right. So there's no community or anything out back there. It's literally just
No,
forest.
it's just forest.
Gotcha. Okay. So tell me about the footprints a little bit. How are they peculiar? I can't use the word. How are they peculiar? Peculiar. I can't say
So
that
they
word.
peculiar.
Yeah.
Some of them looked thinner than wide. Like they looked really thin, almost like banana shaped. They're just strange. And some of the toes were bigger. So the middle toe, like we have our big toe, the next toe to it was large, like a big toe. And there was just strange toes on them, and it looked like they had really long nails. Like the way they grabbed into the mud, it looked like you could see almost like there was like claws on them or nails,
Mhm.
but looked very human, but not. You know what I mean? Like you look at a human with nice symmetrical foot. These things had uh, weird, like no arch or maybe a bit of an arch, but some of them, but they were all different, like very different to each other. It's and all different sizes. They just didn't look right. You know what I mean? Like you look at a human footprint, you're like, oh, that's easy, it's human. These look very different. Just the way the toe placement was, it was peculiar.
Gotcha. Now, did you notice any like kick out or curling of the footprints maybe as the foot came out of the mud, and also the consistency of the mud? Was it dry when you got there and would have been wet the night before, and would have been easier to make a deeper impression,
Yeah,
or okay,
I would say it was fairly still moist, but it's still like I mean I'm there and I've got a small video on it. I'm trying to. It's moist, but I can't get that depth. I'm jumping. In one of my videos, I am jumping down and I'm getting maybe a half an inch down, a quarter of an inch down at best, and this thing's down like an inch and a half. Right, like the depth. This the mud was soft, but not too soft. And yeah, I noticed as these animals or creatures were stepping out of the mud, it's like they were using their toes like hooked. They were hooked. It was like I said, it looked like claws almost. It was like they were using their foot to sort of step out of it. It was interesting because the front of the print was always deeper than the back.
yeah, yeah, that's pretty typical of how they walk. What about the smaller footprints? Were they about the same depth as the bigger ones,
Oh yeah,
or okay?
they're pretty close to the depth. I mean, like I said, I couldn't even replicate the depth of the small ones. Like, apart from like taking my shoe off and then jumping around in the mud, but I did it with my wader boot on. I've got some gear on. I'm wearing waders. I've got a size 14 wader boot, which is heavy. I got a backpack on with all my fishing gear, and I'm a 200-pound male, and I'm jumping, and I'm not even scratching the surface of these things.
Wow. Yeah, so I guess if the mud was a little bit wetter, it would probably allow for a little bit deeper of a print, but it's still interesting that there's no reason for people to be out there and
No,
and to
no,
be doing that kind of stuff, especially that if that was the night prior, that means they spent the night out there.
yeah,
Um,
and
what
and
what
furthermore,
what other animals are out there?
you got bears out there. You have cougars. You got I'm sure you got raccoons, coyotes, mountain goats, things like that. Seals come up the river. They'll follow the salmon up the river. Um, but that's about it. I don't think you have any moose. You have elk. You have deer. Uh, Ferrets or not ferrets, and muskrats or whatever they are, and that's about it.
Gotcha. So there's definitely a good predator, um, habitat. So which just makes it even more unreasonable to have people out there.
Yes, you're there's grizzlies back there. There's lots of grizzlies back in there, especially when the salmon are running. Right, there's some
Oh,
bear. Oh yeah, salmon are running. There's grizzlies.
I was gonna ask you. That was my next question. Is what's like the typical deal with bears around you when you're fishing there?
Uh, when I'm there, I'll spot them all the time, and then we downriver. And as long as they stay downriver, I stay upriver, or it's vice versa. We keep our distance. They're getting fish. I'm getting fish.
Gotcha.
Right? It's one of the last wild runs left in British Columbia. There's no hatchery on it. There's no nothing. It's just left to nature to do its course. Right. And it's a very amazing spot to be. It's almost magical, that place, because there's no garbage. There's no humans. There's like it's remote.
Really remote. So you haven't had any bad encounters with any bears or anything like that? What do you carry? Do you have bear spray with you? Do you have a
Oh
gun
yeah.
with you?
Yeah. No, I just carry just can of bear mace, right, an air horn usually. They're usually pretty good. I'll talk to them. Hey, buddy, get away, back up. You get curious, right? For the most part, they stay away from you.
And mo
I haven't had
Right. And those bears probably have never had human interaction before either,
no.
since if you're that far back.
Yeah, very rare that you'll see any. You might see some logging trucks up higher on the road, but there's not a lot of traffic through there at all.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine Fish and Wildlife make too much effort to go through there.
No,
Do you have you had any run-ins with Fish and Wildlife in that area, or have you
no,
seen
never,
them in there?
yeah, never. I think I've seen one or two other fishermen in the 15, 20 years I've been going there. I've maybe seen one or two other guys fishing. Actually, I seen a helicopter last time I was there land in. Some guys landed in a helicopter and fished, and then got back on the helicopter and left.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I
that
want
was
a
pretty
job that pays for that.
right, right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's so cool. So when you're back in there, there's obviously the bears and stuff you got to worry about. But for me, man, it doesn't make sense. But you were talking about some tree breaks that you found back in there too. Do you want to talk about them?
Yeah, so I started to notice that the tops of the trees were snapped at about 8 foot high, and
Okay.
we're talking fresh saplings, like trees that, like, if I tried to break that myself, I probably wouldn't be able to break it. And it's almost like they're twisted. It's almost like it's not nature. I mean, we get snowfall and stuff, but not a lot here in Vancouver, British Columbia. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sometimes you get ice storms and they'll weigh heavy on top of a tree and snap it. But this is like it's snapped and rolled. You can usually took some pictures of it. It's almost like snapped and splintered all off, right? But there's no other trees that are broken around it. It's just like one or two. And then, like if there was some snow piling on these other trees, they would break other trees around the area. If it was a weather thing, that's what would happen. They're snapped. But then we find these weird, like, it's almost like trees have been ripped out, or broken trees have been put upside down. Like the heavy end of the tree that sticks out of the ground is sticking out of the air, pinched between another tree. And you're looking at it going, how the heck did, like, okay, maybe the one fell here and this caught here at the same time, but it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
But I do know, like, you'll hear, last time I went, so like the prints were there the 2 years, and then 2 years I came back, they were there again. But that time I brought a friend with me, and we heard a large snapping, like almost something was snapping down a whole tree. And I just got an uneasy feeling in my stomach. We left right after that. Right? It was
Yeah.
like we heard like something big push down that tree, and I didn't want to be, whether bear or whatever it was. I didn't want to be around that area. We took off.
Fair enough. Yeah, they like to be intimidating like that. Yeah, I've countless times where I've had something push a tree down around me, and I'm like, I know what that was.
Yep.
But that's so. Is that the only encounter you've had out there, or
Oh
have
no.
you had other? Oh, you've had other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I've
Let's
had quite a
talk
few.
about it. Hell yeah.
So I was up at a place called Princeton. As a paramedic, I do music festival first aid, right? So
Okay.
a lot of these festivals are in properties that are like, way up, like Otter Lake, say, which is Tulameen. It's remote, right? So if someone has a property up there, they throw a big rave or festival there. I do the festival, like the first aid stuff. I set up tents. I got first aid for people, attendees or whatever. Usually I have a bunch of volunteers working that. So then I'll go fishing. I go find all the gold processing fishing spots up there. I was at this place called Otter Lake. And it was just as it was getting dark, and I was under a train bridge, and there's a cliffside up there, and the back of the cliffs went up to Tuolumne Mountain. And I was on this train bridge, and the train bridge is where the river come in, and the stock I go in underneath the train bridge, and they go into the lake, and they cross in to spawn the lake, or on the other side of the lake. And I was, because I was at the music festival, it was summertime, 3 days. I was using the lake basically to shower. I'm
Mhm.
washing myself off on the train bridge, and right beside me, splash in the water, there's a big boulder is tossed down beside me. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, in my mind, immediately I'm thinking, okay, it's kids up on the hillside,
Mhm.
like up on the cliffs above me. And as I'm looking, I'm going, now I don't, I had my eyes corrected since then. I've had vision, the laser surgery done.
Okay.
But at this time, I didn't have my glasses on, and I can't see distance, right? And I can see, like, I thought, like, I saw a black figure, and he was doing this like shift behind a tree. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Throwing rocks at me? I'm down. There's a person down here. You're gonna kill me. That was a huge boulder, right? I'm yelling. And all of a sudden, another boulder down in the water beside me again. What the heck? So I backed up, and I'm trying to see this thing. And all I can see, like I said, it's blurry to me, so I can't definitively say what it is. And it's up on the side of a cliff, where it's like it's pretty straight up and down. Like, there's no roads or nothing up there. And like I said, I saw this black thing ducking behind the tree, and then I backed up more out of the water, and now I'm in the bush, and all of a sudden, beside the bushes, another boulder comes flying in the bush. I'm like, oh shit! So I run back to my truck, grab my glasses. I want to go back and see what this is, and by the time I came back, it was gone. So I thought, okay, at first it was kids. Then I looked at the side of the mountain. Then I went back the next day and I looked. I'm like, there's no way I even got up there. There's no pass. There's no roads up there. This is the side of the mountain. Like, you're scaling that side of that mountain, wherever it is, keep out of the forest up there, and there's no roads. So that was one of the encounters we had.
That's so
Um,
cool.
I had a really scary encounter, which kind of actually scared me and my girlfriend. Like, camping. We bought a camper now because we were staying tents usually, but we actually bought a camper for the back of my truck now because of what happened. We
Wow.
were. This was in March of this year,
Okay.
and we were up at Chehalis Lake. So Chehalis would be back in, like, Harrison Hot Springs area. There's a
Okay.
place called Mystery Mountain, and there's Chehalis Lake, and it's famous for sightings up there. Like, there's some guys that do tours up there with the ATVs and stuff. But it's, the Harrison Hot Springs. There's been sightings there for years. As I started doing my research, we went to a place called Squelpy Campground. Now, Squelpy Campground is halfway on Chehalis Lake. There's a logging road into it, and that road is, at best it's 4x4, like all 4x4, at best. You're not going in there with a car. Currently this year, there's a campsite down there in Squelpy that's been deactivated. It used to be like a public campsite. You go down there, but because the road's falling apart so much and the rain's washing out the road, they don't maintain it anymore. It's sort of camp at your own risk, 4x4 in and out, only taking, pack out what you leave. So that's over the past few years, it's been, the roads decreased so much that it's hard to get down there. Like you're 4x4. So we went up. It was in March. It was still it'd been raining for about 5-6 days straight. So a lot of the road had given out. As we were coming up, on the way up there, since I last fished there 2 years prior, there's been a whole bunch of mines and logging camps opened up there. I'd say probably 5 or 6 new ones. Wow. In areas, and they're just ripping out the side of the mountain, right? And what I noticed on the way up there was tree breaks everywhere. The same thing, the top of the tree bent over and pointing to the road. It's almost like it points to the road where the humans are or where you're driving. And everywhere these new log sites and these mining sites were opened up, it was almost like there was a motion displayed in the trees. Like there was snap, 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 snap. And then like some of the tips of the trees were broken off and then stuck in the next tree beside it. You can see it was like, almost like it was purposely done. But it was just this one section. Anywhere there was a new mine or a new logging camp on this road, it's about a 2-hour logging road up. And there's like another mine pit open up. There was all these trees, snap, 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 just the tips of them. And then you go past, you wouldn't see it for a while. Then you see a new logging camp open up there where they're doing clear cut. And then same thing, the tops of the trees are snapped. And that was the whole way up. And I could feel it. I felt, if this is them communicating, they're angry. You could feel the emotion in the trees.
Yeah.
Like they were upset that their habitat now was being just destroyed. So like I said, it's probably, tenfold what it used to be 3-4 years ago of all these mining. I guess they found some gold veins up there, so they're going up there and mining it all up or whatever. So as I got to the top of Squelpy, you get that uneasy feeling. You're like, okay, I don't know, something doesn't feel right. There feels like the tension in the air, for lack of better words. I go camping, I'm relaxed usually, I'm calm, and this is great. I'm camping, I'm away from everything, but I could feel it. I could definitely feel that the vibe in the air was tense. So we went. My girlfriend and I set up, and we started setting up our tarps. We hadn't set up our tent yet. And I said, okay, well, I want to get out for some last light fishing, last light, best trout fishing. So her and I go out in the boat. We haven't set up the tents yet. And we come out and we start seeing lightning. And it's dark, and so it's getting dark. So we're gonna come back with a little, 12-foot aluminum. We start coming back. Now there's no people here. We haven't seen anyone going up there, the 2-hour logging road. We did hear some logging trucks as we set up earlier, but there was nothing. No vehicles. You'd hear a vehicle coming from a mile away. We heard nothing. And the lightning started kicking up. Okay, let's get off the water because we're in a boat. And then you heard lightning strikes, and then we heard these sounds. These calls. It sounded like calls, like someone screaming. Like I can't even do the voice, but they were going from one part of the mountain to the other behind us. So we're in the lake, and they were up on the cliffside, and it was almost like they were communicating back and forth. These calls were going back and forth, and it was right after a lightning strike, and then they go back and forth. They were talking to each other. And what was interesting, my girlfriend said when we first got there, she goes, "Do you hear that? Sounds like there's 2 guys up there talking." And I hadn't heard it till the next day when I heard the chattering. I'll explain that later on as I get to that. So we hear the storm's going off. We're getting off the water. We get back to the campsite. Now we don't have the tent set up yet. Now it's starting to wind, and it's raining, and this lightning's kicking up, and we're hearing more of these excited calls from creatures in the woods. I'm like, all right, now let's get the tent set up. This is getting a little bit, the weather's getting nasty. It's lightning's getting, and it's getting freaky. I don't know what these things are, but blah blah. So I've got my back to my girlfriend, and behind me is pure, like just forest, right? And there's a little bit of a logging road out of there, and to back of her is the lake. So my truck's we had to in order to get to my truck to where we were camping, you had to drive into the lake a little bit, and you had to be you had to someone spotting you because the lake dropped off. So you had to drive into the lake, and then it kind of goes off. So you get really close because there's a boulder there, and then you run along the beach, and then you can pull your truck up to where we were camping. That's the only way to do that. You're driving into the lake. You don't want to be trying to do that at nighttime because you could end up dumping your truck in the lake. So we'd gotten in there. The truck was there. We're setting up the tarps on the truck. And as I'm setting them up, and I got the tarp set up, and I'm starting to set up the tent, I hear this right from behind me, this roar, like it was so guttural and loud that it said, like I could feel it. I could feel the bass of this creature's yell or growl. It's so loud that I could feel it in my chest. And my girlfriend was outside. I said, go. And I pushed her in the truck, get in the truck, get in the truck, get in the truck. So I went and pushed her in the truck, right? And then shut the truck. And I said, okay, whether it's a bear or whatever, I'm going to go scare this thing away. I'm going to smack some sticks around. Hey, get out of here, get out of here. So I turned around and did that. And I smacked my stick around and I ran up to where it was coming from. I smacked, hey, get out of here, get out of here. Smacking the stick on the ground. And then this thing just a bunch of trees went crash, crash, crash. And then whatever it was coming through the forest at full tilt. I ran back to the truck. I got in the truck. And she was, what is? I said, get in the truck, get in the truck. We got in the truck. And then all of a sudden a pelt of rocks had hit my truck. Like smash, it hit my truck. Like the smash, and hit. What the hell was that, right? And then a stick, bang, hit the front of the truck. We locked the door, and I was freaking out, right? So whatever it is attacking us. I don't know what it is. I'm freaking out, and so I've got my truck light, and now I can't drive out of there because I have to have her. She'd have to get out and stand and watch me go through the lake, and I don't want her getting out of the truck. So don't get out of the truck. We'll stay here. So we stay there, and then I've got sort of my lights are on in my truck, and behind I've got my foot on the brake, right? And so something I can see runs behind my tailgate, like the lights. You can see it in the peripheral vision of the mirror. So it goes behind there. I'm like, what the hell is that, right? And then again, another thing, and then so I can hear them, and then now they're doing this calling, and there's several of them up on the cliff. So I'm freaking out. I'm going, okay, so for the whole night we were stuck in the truck. And throughout the night, every couple hours, bam, something would hit the truck again, right? So eventually we fell asleep. We woke up in the morning. Okay, I got out of the truck, and then there was all these footprints around the truck in the sand that weren't there. I got one picture of them. It's not really a good picture, but you can see it's a lot larger than mine, and you couldn't really make out any toe impressions or something. But it's definitely an indentation. They came along the beach, and then they came up around the truck, and wherever they were all flanked around the truck. So then that was the first night. I was like, that was fucked, right? So that morning we went walking up the trail, and I was looking, and as I looked up on the cliffside, up in the forest, it's like dense forest. I could see what I feel the presence of someone there, and I could see it almost looked like there was three beings, and they were watching me in the woods. And then you could feel something was there because I'm actually videotaping. I've got it on camera, and for some reason, it makes me pan to the left real quickly because you guys saw something else or heard something else. You can't make it out on the video. You can kind of see some shadows up there. And then I heard this talking. It was the scariest thing, Kyle. It was like this. It was if I try to replicate, it was like this, like a laughing. It was a laughing and a talking. It sounded like it could be a human language, but it was a laughing, like laughing really loud, but talking at the same time. It was so creepy. It sounded like two large, like they're speaking a different language. I don't understand the language, but it was definitely a language, and it was this laughing talk. That was scary. Like it made me definitely the hair on the back of my neck stand up. So that day went on. We went fishing out in the lake. We went to the far side of Chehalis Lake. We fished. We came back, and that's now we were packing to go home. But it got dark. We were trying to get back before dark, so we didn't have any incidents. So all right, let's get the hell out of here. We slept in the truck last night. Let's not stay again. So we had a generator running to sort of help set up our campsite with some lights with a generator so we could see sort of our campsite. We're taking everything down. I got the generator running. And now here's something interesting. On the drive up there on the logging road, we noticed that there was parking lots in the way, like there's pull-offs. And we noticed there was red jerry cans in the parking lot, like just someone left a jerry can there. Why would someone leave all these gas tanks? I said, we'll pick them up on the way home. We'll take them. They're good jack.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
I've heard this story before. Have you been on someone else's show?
No.
Really? I've heard this story before. This exact story.
I've never been on anyone else's show. I've never even shared this with many people, except for my friends.
I've heard like almost a very similar story. It was either Sasquatch Odyssey or Sasquatch Chronicles that I heard it on. It might be the same place.
Wow. So check this out. So then the gas cans I noticed in the parking lots, and I'm like, what the heck? Why would someone leave a good jerry can? I was like, I'll pick them up on my way home. That's free jerry cans. So my generator is running, and then we're packing everything. We need a light to see, right? And all of a sudden the generator stops. Okay, shit. Grab our little. We got a little, a 1 gallon, 5 liter jerry can that I used to fill the generator up. So I go to find where the heck's the freaking jerry can. We can't find the jerry can. I said, leave it at my buddy's. I'm like, where the hell's my jerry can? Right? I'm looking around for it. I was there earlier when we left to go fishing. It was sitting on the beach, and it's friggin' gone. So we can't fire up the generator. We got no light. So we do it quickly, and we're packing it up. We got 2 headlamps on, me and my girlfriend, and the one she's got starts to die. So she's got the spotlight, and I've got the regular one. Mine starts to die, and so now I've got my truck turned on. I got the headlights pointing, a little bit of light there, and then I'm loading up the back of the tailgate of the truck, and she goes, Ryan, what the heck's that? And she shines the spotlight, and we get this eye shine. shine, and there's these eyes, and it must have been standing about 8-9 feet tall, and they're glowing eyes, and they're watching us. You could literally see them blinking. And so I shine the light on it, and it kind of moves like this. It does one of these. It moves down here, and you can see the eyes blinking, watching us. And it was the creepiest feeling. And then I'm like, oh my God, what is that? I was
what color were the eyes?
like glowing like a yellowish color. Like it was almost like a yellowish, it was yellow. They were yellow to me, like very yellow, but they were bright.
Pretty sure yellow is cougar.
Yellowish color where they're standing. And then what was even weird, a second one comes and stands beside. So it's standing up to say hi here, and the second one comes here. Now there's 4 eyes, and they're watching us, right? And I shine the light. It's deep in the bush, whatever it is. I get the eye shine, but whatever it is, it moves this way. Like you can see it move out of the way of the light like this, but it's watching us. And now 2 of them are watching us, and I'm going, hey, and then the whoop, just start doing that again, and then the things start flying at the friggin' truck. Objects are flying at the truck now. And so I'm like, okay, let's get out of here. So then I get, fuck it, I'm going around the lake now. I'm not staying here and doing this again for another night. So I drive, I risk it. I hit my truck on the rock, get out of there. And as I'm leaving, right, we got the truck packed up. We're leaving about, I don't know, maybe 500 yards up the logging road. My fucking jerry can is sitting there in the middle of the road.
I've heard that story before.
It's crazy. So that was the last sort of encounter we've had. That was back in March.
What kind of a truck was it?
Chevrolet Silverado 1500 2021.
Okay, it's a 2021.
Yeah,
it's brand new.
Brand fucking new, right?
And you hit it on the rock.
Oh yeah, I smashed it on the rock. Like the whole side's crushed it. I didn't care. I was either there dumping in the lake, and I was like, no, I don't care. Risk it. Get crunched the whole side trying to get out of there.
Wow.
What was interesting about that site, though, what we did notice the next day in the daytime that I didn't mention was we saw these, like, it was almost like there was this tree. There was a tree there, and it was these skinned pieces of wood, almost like little candy canes, and there was no bark on them, and they were hung on this tree. Like there was all these little wood things that were hung, and I noticed that around our campsite there was puzzles. It was like those little puzzles. They were interlocking rocks inside the stumps. It was like there was those puzzles. Mm-hmm. To me, it looked like there was like little kids were doing puzzles with the sticks and shit, and fitting them in different places, like round peg, square hole. It was.
Yeah. I've seen that before too. So, where again was this place you were talking about? I gotta go back and try to find this encounter. Whereabouts was that?
Chehalis Lake. So
Okay.
that would be Chehalis would be Harrison area. Harrison, Chehalis. It's pretty easy to find. Squelpy campsite.
Okay.
Squelpy. I'll send you a pin drop later on, and then you can see the location of where it's at and stuff. What was also interesting that next day when we broke down, or we were trying to leave, or before we left, where these trees were all snapped. The double snaps on these branches were intense. There was a lot of tree breaks in that area that weren't there when we came down to camp.
Okay. So that all happened prior to or just after you got there.
Yep.
Gotcha. So that's definitely scary. I've actually just recently this year had a rock thrown at me, which is like the coolest thing ever. Yeah. And I can imagine when you get boulders thrown at you, it's probably not the same.
No.
So did when they were throwing rocks and sticks and shit at your truck, was there any damage from that?
Yeah, there was some damage on the front of the truck. Once they threw a handful of, like, I don't know, it wasn't big rocks, like a handful of like smaller pebbles that hit the window. It didn't do any damage on the window, but it definitely scared us. Like smashed in the window. What the heck was that, right?
Yeah.
There was a dent on the side of my truck near the back from clearly from a big boulder or a stick or something that hit the sort of the cross beam where the windows are, and it dented it. You can see clearly that it's not from a car accident or nothing. It's from an object hitting it at high velocity.
Gotcha. Have you gone back since that?
No.
Are you ever gonna go back?
I don't know. I was trying to talk to her because, like, right now, I usually go this time of the year. Right now, the fishing's really good. They're fly fishing because the salmon are coming up, and the trout go to fish on the eggs, and that's one of my favorite spots to go. And I usually stop at that Squelpy because there's a creek coming in there, and that's where there's good fishing. I'm kind of hesitant to go. Like, I won't go with just me and my girlfriend anymore. I don't even camp. Like I said, I bought a camper now. I mean, I'm not staying in a tent. I don't want to stay in a tent because of that. Like, I've every time I go camping now this summer, I've been scared until I got a camper. I stay inside the truck. I wouldn't set up a tent. There's no way. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you there. I actually know a guy who likes to stay in his truck when he's out at the research area, and he's like, "Come push my truck over, smack it, roll it around. He's like, I got cameras.
Yep, yep,
He's,
yep,
throw a stick at my truck, see what happens. You'll get put on camera.
yep.
But he puts that intent out there, and they don't do anything. So I think they know better.
Yeah, that for sure.
So tell me some more stuff, some more encounters you've had.
Yeah, so just recently, actually, this is the ones I shown you recently where I got those casts from.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah, we gotta talk about that. That's so
yeah,
cool.
right. Like so I don't know. It's weird. It's almost like I get maybe some, I don't know, visions or voices or whatever. I just hear something like, "Hey, come check this area out." And usually when I hear that, or the universe tells me to go these places, I find something. There's something there. There's something that sort of indicates that these animals are here, or these creatures are here, right? These people. So recently I fished there's the Chilliwack Vetter River where everyone goes for the salmon. There's hundreds of humans that fish that river every day, and it's usually arm to arm fishing. Well, I usually go past where the fish come up past the hatchery, and I go up to the lake, right? So that the river goes up to the lake, and then it carries on through the lake, and there's a river on the other side that and eventually connects to the U.S. So in order to get to the backside of the lake, you drive around about, I don't know, it's about 30, 40 minutes or so around the lake. It's, 20 kilometers or something like that on a log road. And it's a pretty rough road. You get to the back of the lake, and the river carries on again and goes up into the mountains. There's nothing back up in there except for, like I said, the U.S. border, I think, is about 6 kilometers away through thick bush. And then I think the logging road may carry on and go up towards Hope, British Columbia. So to the right, you used to be able to, I remember when I was a kid, you used to be able to drive down to the river. Now you can't. They've blocked it off, and you got to walk in. So I drive around to the back of the lake, and something tells me, "Hey, I got to go. I'm fishing on the river lower." And I says to my girlfriend, "Something's telling me I got to go to the back of the lake and see if there's some fish up in there or something." Right? And something's telling me, "Hey, you go check this area out. You're gonna see some fish. Or there's gonna be something special there." So you park my truck. You got to cross the river. You got waders on, so we cross the river, and then you've got to hike in 3 kilometers. All right, so 3 kilometers along. There's a path. It's a fairly well maintained path. There's some clear cut on one side, but you can tell people haven't been there in a while. The path's overgrown. There's some sticks down there. You got to kind of climb over some logs. So we walk down. It's about 3 kilometers, and we walk down at the top of the cliff, and we kind of walk all the way down this thing. That was really smoky too, because I guess there was a forest fire. It was probably 30 kilometers away between Chilliwack and Hope. So the area is just completely smoky. So we walk down there, and so we walk down and say, "Oh, it's pretty far." We walk down 3 kilometers, and we come down this beautiful beach on the backside of the lake. And it's a sand and mud beach. And you could tell some people haven't been there in some time. I think the last time people were there was back in September, Labor Day weekend. They closed the boat launch, so you can't launch a big boat there and drive to the other side of the lake and then get down there. You'd have to hike in, and not a lot of people are hiking in this hike. I can't see it, right? Maybe some fishermen or something, right? So we get down to the beach, and what I notice is there's hundreds upon hundreds of these footprints, and they're everywhere along the beach, but they don't come from the same path I did. As soon as you came from where I did, there's footprints that go on the beach. There's no footprints there, right? So I walk out on the beach, and I notice, where the hell did all these footprints come from? They didn't come from where I'm come from. They didn't come from the boat, because the boat launch has been open for a month and a half, right? It's September, Labor Day weekend, it closed. So no one's pulling in a big boat and coming in here, right? So this is weird. But where are all these footprints? And what's interesting about these footprints is there's some big ones, there's some small ones, but some really, really tiny ones. Like, we're talking like this big, right? But a perfect footprint about this big. I'm like, well, that's a small child to be down here. How the heck did he get here? Parents aren't carrying their kids 3 kilometers in. I mean, maybe athletic parents are. Maybe they're just some, superstar family, and they're jogging with their kids. But what was interesting is these footprints didn't come from the path where I came from. They came from the forest. So when we followed, what we saw two sets of large footprints. And then what's strange is that you only see those two large footprints that come from across the river, where the river is actually carrying on. And then they're coming from the forest as well in sand. Those two sets of footprints come, but then out in the middle where they go out to, where the sort of this tidal area is, where the lake is sort of dried up, and it's all sand and mud. The two footprints then turned into all these little baby ones. It's almost like whatever they were carrying children. And then they put the children down. The children are playing around. It's in a circle, and it's all over the place. The footprints are kind of along the edge of the lake. They go out into the lake. They come back. They go back into the river. It's almost like whatever it was has been doing this for a little bit, some time now. There's some fresh ones, and there's some ones that have been there for months. You can tell them in the dry mud. But there's some that are definitely within a couple of days for sure. Like, we haven't had a rain, and these were fresh in the mud. We haven't had a rain in almost a month or so, right? So these are fresh in the mud. like some parts of that lake where it's still sort of wet still, or it's dried up. You step in that, you're going to lose your shoe and your foot. Well, these are bare footprints everywhere, and we're talking 6, 7 different types of prints, all different sizes and shapes, and those are the ones I got the casts of. So we saw that, so we followed those up, and then we found all the salmon were stacked in the river there, like, and no one fishing them. It was like it was a gem. It was like whatever told me to go there, just gave me a gem. Like here's gold. Here's all the salmon that everyone's fishing downriver for, arm to arm, and they're all yours. You can fish them, right? So check that shit out and saw the salmon, and then we left. And I said, I was telling you, I said, I got to go back there and get some casts. And I did the other night. We literally got down there. And I think we had an hour before it got dark.
Oh man.
So we were okay. We didn't have enough time for this, let the stuff set properly, right? So we dropped in 2 casts. We got the one larger one and then the smaller one, which I'll show you here in a second. And we weren't sure if they were going to set in time. So and my girlfriend's going, we got to get out of here. I don't want to be here when it's dark. Remember what happened last time? I'm not doing this, right? She's freaking right out, right? We bought my other buddy, Brett, with us, and he's not a believer or a believer. He doesn't know. He's never experienced. He's going, what the heck? He's perplexed. He's, what the heck are these footprints doing here? And who the hell's got their kids out here in the middle of nowhere? Like, it's pretty rugged to get down here, first of all. And who's got their children down here walking around bare feet? And where did they go? Like, they didn't go up the path that we came from. They went into the forest, and there's nothing back there. Like, where did these kids go? Like, where did these children go? You can clearly see, if you come onto that beach, you have to go one path onto the beach and in the sand. You have to. You can't just you don't just appear. You know what I mean? That's what was so perplexing. This is strange. I don't know what this is or who. This is really weird. Maybe some people living back in here or something, right? So I showed him. We cast these footprints. It starts to get dark, and I said, "Babe, we have to get you. Just leave it. We'll come back and get it next time." I said, "No, it's going to rain. I don't know. I've never worked with the casting stuff, that plaster of Paris stuff right before, so I don't know how long it takes or how to get it." So I dig out the footprint. I got some pretty good cast out of it, and it's now dark, and we gotta get out of here. And what was weird is the wind kicked up. Like, it was calm, no wind, no nothing. You couldn't hear nothing, and then the wind kicked up. What we did hear when we first went down there was something large crossing the river, because the river's a bit of a distance, and we heard splash, splash, splash. It could have been bears chasing salmon, but it was something. It was a large animal in the water splashing around for a good 5-10 minutes, and then it was gone. So as we're leaving, we got dug out the mud. I got my buddy carrying a big chunk of mud with the cast in it, and we're leaving the site. It starts to get windy, and now there's this vibe. Like, it's scary. I'm not gonna lie. I started getting some flashbacks of what happened at Squelpy, and my girlfriend's going, "Let's go." She's freaking, "Let's go, let's go, let's go." So we're walking up the path. Now the path is only big enough for single file walking because it's all overgrown, right? So we're single file. He's in front. My girlfriend's there in the middle of the back. She goes, "No, I'll follow behind you." I said, "No, you walk in between the two of us."
Yeah.
Right. You walk in between the two of us. So I'm walking behind, and as I'm walking, it's 3 kilometers. That's a good 15-20 minute hike. You're going uphill and in the bush. And I could feel something's following me. And then every so often I hear this the little cliffside, things are falling off the cliff. Whatever this thing was following us. Something escorted us out of there. I could feel it behind me the whole time. When something's there. You have that animal instinct. You can feel this. Someone was following us. They followed us all the way out to the truck. And I sat there in the truck. I just felt the vibe that something was there. And as I was leaving, we were driving out, and something went sort of run. I could see my headlights, and something went running up the side of the path. I don't know. It could have been a deer. It could have been anything. But I saw something out of my peripheral, sort of go hopping in my headlights, and then it was gone. It was creepy vibe. We got those. I'll show those casts now. We got those casts, those footprints. They turned out pretty good. I'd like to go back and get some more, but it's rained like crazy now. It's been flooded since, right? So. We got this one. This was the first one. I don't know if it might be a little bit dark in my room here. Let's see here.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if my camera's catching that at all. But yeah, you got, what's interesting is you can see the difference, how deep these footprints. Like, I've got a size 14. And this is a lot wider. So the bridge right here is about 5.5 inches or 5 inches. And sort of my foot is 3.5 inches. And I got a size 14. So this one's about the same size as mine. My length, but it's a little bit longer than mine. It's about 11.5 to 12, almost a foot long. And what's interesting is really deep in this area right here. The section of my camera showing there.
Yeah, I can see it's a lot more. It's a lot deeper. You're right.
Yeah, it's a lot deeper in the front of the foot, and then the heel. So the heavy, deep arches in this foot right here. A lot of the other prints I've seen have been flat-footed.
Right.
This one does have a big arch. Now, what's interesting is I got the child's footprint. It didn't turn out as well as that one did, but to sort of put that in perspective.
Yeah, I see the little toes. Wow, that thing is small.
Right? Look at that. So that's my hand, right? Look at how tiny that little
Yeah.
foot is.
Yeah, that's like a 3-year-old or 4-year-old's foot.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't that wild? Like to see that, to see that in the middle of nowhere where there's no humans. There's nobody down there with their children. Furthermore, like, unless they're carrying their kids down there, like that's tiny.
Yeah,
That's
that
tiny.
foot that's not human. And like if you look at
No.
the pinky toe, it's
Yeah.
wrapped way out.
Yes. 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 Look.
Yeah.
Wild, huh?
Yeah, that's someone who's never wearing shoes before.
Exactly. Look at it. It's so neat. I was blown away. There's even smaller ones than this, though. This is one of the larger, smaller ones. There was one about half this size that are out there.
Wow.
They're like this big. They're literally like that. Like the feet are this big. I mean, this is like a 1-year-old, 2-year-old child, and it's running marathons around this. The footprints are all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah, blown away. To say the least, blown away. My buddy's going, "Who the heck has their kids down? Who's crazy enough to bring their kids down here?" Like, first of all, you're walking 3 kilometers down this thing, and it's not an easy trail. It's not like it's just like a walking trail. There's just trees that are down in the trail. There's stumps you're going over, and it's down a big hill, it wraps around a cliff, and they're not coming from that path. They didn't, they got dropped in there with a helicopter, but it was very strange. It's very interesting to see these photos, and lots of them too. I sent you some pictures there. There's everywhere as far as you can see. Like it's just wild.
Yeah, I'm gonna post a few more of them up on the Instagram
Yeah,
too, and I'll definitely tag you. So anybody who
yeah,
wants to go check him out on Instagram and what else, definitely go on the podcast Instagram and look for the footprint pictures, and your name's tagged underneath of them.
great.
That's really cool. That's something I haven't done that I'm striving to do is get my own, like cast my own legitimate track. It's where my research area and Todd's research area is, a lot of it's sphagnum moss.
Yeah,
You never get a print in sand. You'll never get a print in mud, perfect
yeah,
like what you have. So definitely take advantage of that and try to get a few more.
yeah.
Because people will go years. They'll spend their whole lives trying to find a spot like you have, and to get in there and to cast legitimate tracks. So definitely, like, that's a special place, and know
Yeah,
that and feel that. And they're allowing you to get those tracks, man. They're leading you in there. There's a reason for that.
absolutely. I feel like you go there and respect your environment. It's strange because like I said, I have to ask them if I'm bringing someone. There's almost an asking process. Like they'll say my partner, my girlfriend Nina, the first time I took her to sort of up by Chilliwack Lake where we encountered a structure, the big tree structure. I don't know if I sent you a video or a picture of it. I'll send you a video later. It's this giant tree structure, and we found that in February. This is before we went to the Squelpy. It was the first time I showed her, and I said, "Hey, look, I had these encounters." I was like, "But it's strange. It's almost like they talk to me." I was like, "I can't really bring you to see anything unless they say it's okay." And so I kept trying to take her up there, and the universe wouldn't allow me to bring her up there. Something would happen where we couldn't go up there. And
Hmm.
then finally one time I was like, "Right now, babe." She said, "What?" I said, "We got to go now." And it was snow on the ground and stuff. I said, "For some reason, we can go there right now. Let's go look." They're telling me to come look. So we're driving along Chilliwack Lake Road. This is before the lake that I'm telling you about where we had this encounter. And we're driving up this road, and all of a sudden something just tells me to pull over. Pull over here. Pull over this clearing in the forest. And we walk out, and there's a bunch of snow on the ground and a clearing. And I walk out there, and she picks up on these footprints that are going into the woods through the snow track that's going through a big snow track. And we follow that in. I said, "Where are you going?" Yeah, and she follows it. What was interesting, it was almost like there was a bunch of animal footprints, deer footprints, and then there was a bunch of these look like human footprints or large bear footprints in the snow, like in the snow, and they're leading to it's almost like a few of them come from different areas of the forest, and it was deer prints that had gone to the middle, and these other footprints had closed in on it, and then it was piss, like looked like deer piss or something, some sort of piss in the middle of the thing, and almost a struggle going on, and then the deer footprints disappeared, and then these footprints went into the woods, the human like footprints. So it's almost like they chased a deer or something, whatever it was, they got it. There's a bit of a struggle there, and there was a pile of piss there, like yellow snow, right? And then the prints were, the prints were there. The deer prints didn't go back into the woods or nothing, and then those footprints, we followed them. She followed them out to the woods, and there was like an old trailer that was there. I don't know how long it's been in there. It's driven in 20 years ago or something like that. And then there was a tree break. We saw a couple of tree breaks, and then this giant structure. It's full size, 18, 20-foot trees. They're upside down, pinched within each other in like almost like an X. And it's wild. I got a video of it. I'm going, I don't know, this could happen in nature, but this one fell this way, that one fell that way, this one fell that way, and it's like this X thing, and they're all suspended. It's wild because the big end of the tree, or the bottom of the tree, or the trunk of the tree is up in the air, and the tip of the tree is like suspended in air, pointing down at the ground, and the whole thing is upside down on several of these trees, and it's pinched. It's just, I'm going, how the heck did you do this? How did nature catch these trees like this? How did a wind blew this down? We saw this, and that was the first one, and that's where I saw that structure and was like blown away. And then so she was like, oh, I want to see more, right? And then of course the Squelpy was the next incident. She doesn't want to see anymore.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to see anymore, babe.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things that a lot of people don't really want to get behind, because it is a scary thing to deal with and go do, and especially at night. And
Yeah,
you got to be a certain level of crazy, I guess,
yeah,
to be okay with it. And I guess I'm a certain level of crazy. I guess you
yeah.
probably are too.
That's
But
the thing.
send me some of that stuff, man. I'd
Yeah,
love to check it out and post up some of it. I think that'd be awesome to share with everybody.
absolutely. I find that like for myself, like I do a lot of fishing, like first light fishing or last light fishing. So I'm in a lot of these places after dark. I've never experienced anything up until these past few years, right? Like I said, like I think it's 2 3 years ago that I got my first encounters. And until then, I go fishing all the time. I spend the night by myself on the river, like spend the night on the river. And I've heard bumps in the night and stuff and never think nothing of it, right? It's only recently, for whatever reason, that I've been able to see or have these encounters. And then, watching some shows and stuff, watching Todd's thing and watching things, I'm like, wow, maybe there's a possibility there are some things up here. Because, you don't think about it until you see it. And then I started noticing these, and like the footprints is what like really triggered me. I said, what the heck? Because they're in a place where there's no people. And I'm going, there's no one walking around here. That's where I was like, okay, something's going on out here, right? Something's, it made me really, really start looking. Now, when I go fishing in certain areas, it's weird because those tree breaks are in certain areas and you don't see them anywhere else like that. Like nature does not do this. These things, they're so that it's like a signature snap at the top, and it's usually a fresh tree, like a good tree. It's not like a deadfall or something.
How thick are these trees at the break?
4 or 5 inches. Some of them are large. I've seen some really big ones like that. But
Are
I've also
they
seen.
are they clean broken? Are they splintered?
No,
What?
they're splintered. It's almost like a twist. I'll send you some more pictures. I've got actually a picture of it. It's like this. It's like it's grabbed and rotated like this. It's twirled. It's spun like this. It's not just a snap like that. It's spun. It's rolled. It's like a green stick or whatever you want to call it. It's rolled. It's almost like something's grabbing and rolling. It's not like so if something falls and it breaks off, it breaks like this. These are rolled and splintered.
Wow.
Yes,
And you're
it's
talking
incredible.
4 or 5 inches?
4 or 5 inches, some of them even larger. Like some of them are larger than that. Like but sometimes you'll have a double where two trees beside each other, snap, snap, like that, right? And then
Right.
it's an area of 4 or 5 of them, and it always seems to be pointing. The trees are always pointing towards a path, like where the humans are walking or where we walk. The walking
Hmm.
path, they're always broken towards the path.
And they're all what height?
8 feet, 9 feet. I've seen them as high as 12 feet. Right, yeah, all around that same height and all around the same area. Like the top part of the tree, the last 4 feet or whatever, snapped off right there, snapped and bent down. Or I've seen them snapped and then stuck in the tree beside it, like pointing, like just weird sort of like things that if it happened in nature, it'd be a one-off fluke or whatever. We saw what I thought was. I'll send you another picture or a video. I've got it, and it's almost like it's a bridge going across a river with a bunch of logs, like full-size trees that have been wrapped around each other. Like the three of them are like this, and then there's another one it's almost like bent and wrapped around the tree, like it's like a bridge, like a homemade bridge structure or something. But you look up this ravine, and there's a few of them, and that's not nature doing it. It's not a natural. It doesn't look like a natural occurrence for sure.
That's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
please send me those pictures. I'd
Um,
love to see them. That's so awesome. But looks like we're coming to about the end of the show. So I want to thank you again for taking the time. I know you're pretty busy and you got a lot of stuff going on in your life. So thank you for taking the time to reach out and to come on the show.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. It's good
Yeah,
to share some stories.
I appreciate everything you're going out there and doing, especially with being a paramedic. That's super awesome. It's definitely an intense field to be involved in and work
Yeah,
with. I'm sure you've seen your fair share of nasty stuff, but thank you again for that, and also keep on keeping on, man. keep listening to those intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, man.
They really seem to like you and to have a connection with you, and they're leading you and showing you these amazing things. So keep a camera on you. Keep bear spray on you too,
Yep.
and just keep going for it, man. That's awesome. Get some more tracks,
Yeah,
and
man.
the more you do that kind of stuff, the more I can get somebody out there to you, and
Yes.
we can get someone out there to to get this stuff out there.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Should be. I think so. I
Like,
think.
imagine if we can get Jeff Meldrum out there.
Yes. Yeah,
Like, it would be a gold mine for him
absolutely.
to be able to experience that, and maybe you're the key.
Yeah. I would love that. I
So
would love.
just keep that in your mind, and don't, everything's a learning experience with these beings. And
Yes.
the moment you think you're doing something right, or you think you're ahead of them, you're not. You're 4 or 5,
No.
6 steps behind. So just don't get upset. Don't get, um, you know, up, don't let it kind of wear you down. You just keep doing it and keep learning from it and keep having a positive attitude about it, and you'll get somewhere. So
It's interesting because like with that encounter that we had where it was kind of aggressive, it was almost there was an apology. I felt an apology. There was something about an explanation of two mischievous beings that were being mischievous, and there was an apology coming from an elder. That's what I
mm,
got. Sometimes you hear weird things, maybe it's your mind imagining it, but I got an apology after that, and then it was no aggressive encounters after that.
right. So you might be fine going back there.
Yeah,
I would suggest bringing your buddy out there and see what
yeah,
happens.
yeah,
Might as well,
absolutely.
right? And record
Yep,
it. Put a couple
yep,
cameras up, man.
yep,
Also, trail cameras are really good for that kind of stuff too, because they can see the IR.
yep,
So they'll either stay away, or they're gonna put themselves on camera.
yep.
So just, a couple ideas. Just definitely keep doing it. It's super cool that you got that stuff going on, man. I'd love to go out there.
Send me some links on some good equipment I could get, like fairly like I don't I'm a paramedic, I don't make much money, but I'd like some infrared, some FLIR or something like that. Some more stuff, some links on some where I can get. There's so much stuff out there, just some decent stuff that I could
Yeah.
use at a price.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do my best to point you in the right direction.
Thanks, I appreciate
But
it.
yeah, no problem. All right, so we're gonna call it a night. Thank you again for coming on the show, and keep me in the loop of what's going on. Let me
I
know.
will.
Keep me posted, and keep sending me stuff. I'll keep putting it up.
I will. I
And
will.
if you have something else crazy happen, we'll get you back on the show.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks, Kyle.
All right.
See ya.